Nkosi Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, Rachel G. Hi, Rachel G.
I know so.
I love your hairstyle. Your hair color is really, really beautiful. And so our topic today is how do you develop self-trust? And Rachel, I know you chose this topic. Would you like to explain to our audience why you chose the topic and what it means?
I chose the topic because it's currently what I'm really focusing on for December and the coming months, of course, with my own personal situation. Um, and yeah, so it's sort of like hot in the air for me at the moment. So I thought, well, let's talk about that. And
I
it's an
think
important one.
I thank you so much. Thank you so much for choosing the topic, Rachel. I think we were talking about something similar last week on Friday with Carol Ann, and we're talking about fear, and which is similar to what the topic today. We're talking about the fear. How do you actually have the courage to put yourself out there and trusting yourself? It means you have to look at yourself and different than other people will look at yourself without coming in a judgmental place, because we tended to judge ourselves in a very, very painful way. If we were like judging ourselves in a positive way, all of us will be doing the things that we love to do in this world. But unfortunately, we are not kind to ourselves, and we find it hard to build that strength and actually spend time with ourselves and having that me time, having intimacy with ourselves. We don't do all those things. We prefer to actually other people telling us who we are, and when it comes to our inner being, and when our inner voice is communicating with us, we don't really want to actually listen. So what I would like to know, Rachel, I know this is what you do for work as a coach. And if there is someone out there who is watching and they don't know how to develop that self-trust, because when you develop a self-trust, it means that whatever the decisions you make with your spirituality, with your health wise, with your beliefs, with your everything, it falls into place. It comes to trust. But if you struggle with that, developing the self-trust, how do you go from that fear to finding that breakthrough? Is there any tools you've used that have helped you?
Well, firstly, I think it's important for people to understand what self-trust isn't, because they might think that it is that, and it certainly isn't that you have to know all the answers. I think that that's really important, first of all, to clarify, and secondly, that that you have to self-trust isn't, it's not always believing that you will always do the right things, so I think as long as those two things are understood first and foremost, what it isn't, because sometimes otherwise we're trying to encourage something within ourselves that isn't actually true. And so it's not that you have to have all the answers, and it's not that you have to do all the right things. That doesn't equal self-trust. So I think that's just first and foremost. And then I think understanding what is actually getting in the way of self-trust before we answer the question, Nomsa. So one, for myself, what I've learned was, abandonment has always been something that lies really deep within me. I put it down a lot to rejection, but I noticed that beneath the rejection comes abandonment, and so that was getting in the way of me being able to trust myself, because I also then was always against myself. Like what you just mentioned, we can be mean to ourselves. And so, when we always are being mean, we're in some ways abandoning ourselves. And so therefore we create that lack of trust. And that lack of trust then actually will seep gradually into also our ability to trust other people in our lives. And so, I know there was, for a period of time, I would think that people didn't care about me, or didn't care that they didn't have their best interests at heart when it came to me. But mostly that was me projecting what I was doing to myself onto other people. Um, I have to care for myself first and trust myself first before I'm going to be able to have that from other people. And so that's been a big lesson for me, learning about self-trust, my own self-trust. And why do we have self-trust issues? I think a lot of it is rooted in the fact that it's come from as always, either our family members, our friends, or cultural society, or any of our peer groups that as we're growing up, that come around us, that they made us wrong for maybe what we thought was good for us. And so we start to take on other people's opinions, other people's ideas, beliefs, and think that that is what is true. And so we start to doubt ourselves. And again, that's becomes this sort of habit where we can continue to go against what is in our hearts, because we're choosing what is in someone else's mind for us. And so it can leave us quite confused as well, because we're now not listening to that inner voice that we've had all along. But the longer we go not listening to it, then we find ourselves more and more in a situation where we have this lack of trust. And so it's important to find people who are around you, who can support you and lift you up, and actually give you encouragement to believe that what you feel is the right thing to do for you. So self-trust is really about getting to know yourself, and certainly it's getting to know that part of you that you can listen to and you can honor, that is the voice of your intuition, is the voice that is the one that's going to come up and speak for you. So it's just like learning that new dance, isn't it? In the beginning, you're sort of stumbling and you get it wrong a couple of times. But the more that you keep practicing, the more you keep listening to that quieter voice, you will start to see that the action that you take from there is giving results. Maybe not exactly what you have in mind, but they are results that are coming that make you feel good. And that will then help you to, the next time another decision comes around, again, to keep choosing the voice that is the one that has your back, rather than the mind that is always about, no, I just need to be right and doesn't matter about anything else. So really, self-trust is like that little turbo boost to help us keep moving forward in life and getting ahead. It's having that mindset that I can do this. I'm capable, I can handle whatever comes my way. Most of the time, if we look back, we will see that what we've accomplished in the past, we've overcome hurdles, we've overcome challenges that maybe at the time we thought we'd never get through them, but we do. And so, it's holding a deep belief within yourself that you are able to do and conquer anything that life throws your way. Because I'm a great believer that we only get kind of thrown stuff at us in life that we can handle. Again, I keep seeing it over and over in my own life, that sometimes I think, oh my God, well, how am I going to get through this? And yet I always do, always. So I think for most people, we are a lot stronger than we give ourselves credit for. And I think that when we can build that self-trust, we're automatically building our self-love as well. I think they're kind of trust and love are found in the same place, because you only have to think about the people that you trust in your life. There'll be people who are close to you and that you do love. People who are mean or nasty or are never very encouraging, they're not people that you're going to trust. So the exact same has to apply with yourself, that you have to have a good relationship with you and love and care and have compassion and be listening and all those other things for you to be able to have a trusted relationship with yourself. So I just wanted to get that bit out first, because I think sometimes it's good to get a clear understanding. What is it not? What is it? And why it's good for us, right? And then your next question, or the question that you asked, now we can go a little bit more deeper on it.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Rachel. I actually, hi everyone, LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, Twitter. Please feel free to type and communicate with us if you want to communicate and get involved into the conversation. Some people don't get involved because they're like, I don't want to type. People says my name and they're gonna start. Just type Ngozi Talk Show. Is what makes Ngozi Talk Show exciting is we help each other find our own voice and lead from within. So if you are a coach or you are just somebody who just follows Ngozi Talk Show as a part of the family, just type and communicate. Let us know how you were able to develop self-trust, or if you are somebody who is struggling, don't worry about people reading your messages. Nobody actually cares. When it comes to problems, you got to look after number one, because if you worry about people, what people think when you're typing, you're never going to get anywhere in life. This is something that I've learned the hard way, that if I have a problem, I have to put myself out there and seek help. Without asking or without getting involved, I wouldn't know. So Rachel, I like it when you say you have to learn to dance with the problems. And because when you learn to dance with the problems, it means you're not ignoring the problems, and you're also not hiding from them, and you are facing them and dancing with them. And there are two mountains in life: the mountains that we climbed, and then once we finish climbing that mountain, there's a mountain of success. What do I do now? The success that I spent all my life chasing. And now when you get that success, now you have to learn to develop. Like, let's say you've never been a millionaire before. When you become a millionaire, now you have to learn to trust yourself, that you are worth, that money is worthy. You're worthy to have this money, and you are worthy that that money is not gonna go, or you're not gonna go like bankruptcy again, or whatever the things, the situation. You have to trust, like self-trust. It means I trust. Rosemary, thank you so much. Say, I have my voice and really don't understand why others struggle. I think people struggle because of our childhood attachment. Sometimes we struggle the way we were raised. Like myself, I was raised in Africa. In Africa, some cultures, our cultures is you do as you're told. You don't talk back. When parents speak to you, you get on with it. But for me, I was like, some parents don't treat their children like that. Like my parents, they will explain to me why is it important for me to actually listen to them, and what are the consequences if I don't listen, and how is it going to affect my future. So they used to explain, but some parents, they don't explain. Even here in the UK, there are some parents I see when I pick my daughter from school, they'll be yelling at their children, shouting and screaming. The poor child is innocent. He hasn't got a clue. Why is my mom or my dad shouting or screaming? But if you explain it to a child, because if you shut the feelings, a child's feelings, to say you can't communicate, then that's how they're going to grow up and be like. But if you let your children know that it is okay to talk to me, it is okay to actually ask questions, it is okay to have a voice, they'll grow up being that person, having their own voice. And even though they're going to struggle with fear, it will be a different fear. So what Rachel is saying, that learn to dance with problems, I think I do understand, Rachel. I've learned to dance with the problems, and I've learned that there's two mountains. There's a mountain of trying to climb the ladder of success, and there's this mountain on the other side. Now you have the success. Do you believe that you're worthy that success? Do you believe to trust yourself and develop more? Some people don't go further because they fear what would be. or they fear that they're not going to fit in with that life with their families, their friends. But guess what? In this world, when you want success, you've got to embrace it all the way. And dancing with the problems, you cannot dance with the problems and then you succeed and you're like, start doubting yourself. And you mentioned that the fight that is being given to us, the challenges that we face in life, we have to believe that we can actually climb the mountains. For me, I believe that God will not give you a fight if he didn't think you be able to fight that fight and come on the other side. I don't believe that he wouldn't. He gives you a fight knowing that you will be able to actually fight that fight and come on the other side as a winner. Because if you trust yourself and you develop the trust, it means that I trust myself, even if it means I have to climb the mountain on my own. I trust myself, even if my family say I'm not good enough to start my own business. I'm not good enough to get that promotion, or I'm not good enough to find a woman that I can spend the rest of my life with. And the families, they do speak. Sometimes when I met my spouse, they used to speak to their younger sister, and I'll be like, why do you guys speak to her like that? Because now she's believing they love her so much, but sometimes they will say negative things and she'll be going along with it. And I was like, just leave her alone. She's just, because when people say negative things, say you can't do this, you can't do that, you start believing it, that you're not capable of doing that. So it means I trust myself, and I'm going to develop that trust within me that I can actually climb the mountain and be the person that I have meant to be. And that's why we are here to Ngozi Talk Shows. Ngozi Talk Shows started when I went to Des. Actually, I wanted him to coach me for my business. And he goes, no, sir, in order for me to coach you, you're going to have to go on stage. I'm like, whoa, 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 mister. I'm hiring you. I am actually paying you to help me to develop, to help me to take my business to the next level. And you are telling me by helping me, I'm going to have to go on stage and speak about my business. And I was like, this is not part of the deal. And I was like, yes, Nomsa, if I'm gonna accept your money, that is part of the deal. And I was like, listen, I've never spoken on stage before. I have sang on stage before. I haven't got a clue what I'm supposed to be saying. And he was like, don't worry, you will learn. I will teach you. So I was like, okay. So when I went and agreed and I trusted myself, I think when he gave me one gig, for the first time, the gig that he gave me, I think I called him 20 times within a day. And he was like, Nomsa, calm down, trust yourself. 20 times. And I was like, hi, Des. This line. And he was like, Nomsa, seriously. And it was like, how do you learn your lyrics when you sing? I was like, I have to memorize everything and know what I'm singing, and I have to know the feelings. And it was like, just cut off the phone and just go and do the same thing. That's all you got to do. And I was like, oh, okay. But that moment, I had to trust myself. And even though some people didn't believe in me, but I had to believe in me. I had to trust myself. And Rachel, do you want to continue with the question that I've asked you?
Yeah, on how we build it.
Yes.
Trust, yeah. So, I mean, my favorite number one is always going to be, you need to give yourself space to be able to feel your feelings, because when we actually undermine our own self-trust when we aren't listening to ourselves. So it is a really important thing to be able to give yourself that time to process what it is that you're feeling first and foremost. Alongside of that, it's about befriending your inner critic, because too often we either take everything that it says to heart, or we choose to just follow whatever it says in whatever direction without even questioning it, and then wonder why we end up in a mess maybe a bit further on down the line because we didn't listen to what was truly going on within us. So, learning to befriend your inner critic has been something that, I've gone from having a beast in my head to really having like an inside coach, an inside champion who's there to support me. So I think that that's really important, because I've learned that the inner critic always has a positive intention. It's always only ever wants to keep us safe. And when we look at it and understand that it's really a child in its maturity, so it does what it does as a level of a child that can't always see the bigger picture or doesn't have experience behind it. When you see it like that, you can sort of treat it with, and that's where the compassion for yourself must come in, so that you can start to have compassion for this ego part of you that is ruling the roost, and it's trying to do its best to keep you safe, but really it doesn't have it doesn't have all the know-how. It only knows what it knows from back in a fixed time. So yeah, befriending your inner critic has been for me a very important part of building trust with myself, so that I could create that inner cheerleader who encourages me to be able to speak more kindly to myself, because that helps us then to trust. If we are being kind to ourselves, I'm going to trust myself more than if I'm being mean to myself. Just see it like in having another relationship with another person. You're not going to trust somebody who's being mean and horrible to you all the time. And you mentioned something important, which was about having that alone time. That's alone time to be sort of just thinking, taking time to consider what is it that I want, what is it that I need, and only then, after you've done that and you have kind of an answer for yourself, maybe then do you want to go out and seek an outside opinion, only if it's necessary, because too often we jump to the people outside of us for the answers before we've even asked ourselves. And so they're already giving us all their information, and then we've completely abandoned what it is that we might be really truly feeling because we didn't take that time to do it. So if you do go outside, choose your sources carefully, because some people will give you information or direction or guidance which is more based on what they would do in their situation, based on their background, that really is nothing to do with you. So that for me has also something that I've been learning. And I think also asking yourself questions to encourage that reflection and critical thinking, because as we always say, the answers are within us. We do hold everything that we need, but it takes patience. We need patience. It's something that I've struggled with because I'm not naturally patient in all areas of my life, and I certainly haven't been patient with myself in the years. But when you can start to apply it, it does actually it gives its rewards. But yeah, you've got to be patient, and that part can be difficult. And I think another thing is, like, notice what you feel when you don't trust yourself. Like, understand what that feeling is. There have been times, I'm sure, when you've done something or you're going to do something and there's a part of you that you're not trusting that situation. So, really understand where that's coming from, feel it in your body, so that the next time it happens, it's giving you the signal to let you know that what probably choice you're making now is not the one that intuitively would be the best one. So when you can, when we can feel the difference between here I'm trusting myself and here I don't feel like I'm trusting myself, when you can differentiate between those two, that also is making it a lot easier to build trust with yourself. And I think letting go of those habits and those routines that undermine self-trust. For example, I used to be somebody who would write lists of everything that I needed to do. I mean, but at the same time, it was kind of telling me that I didn't trust myself, that I could do the things that you know that were on that paper. It's a silly example, and it might not be the case for everybody, but for me, trusting myself that I know the main things that I need to get done in a day, and I don't need a piece of paper with a list of it all on there, which just seems to be getting ever longer, was actually installing more less trust in myself, because now I was relying on a piece of paper that I think was telling me all the things I needed to do. I don't know if that comes across, if what I'm trying to say comes across, that you understand how that could affect my self-trust, does it? Or is it completely sort of gone over the top of your head, what I'm saying?
It's gone on top of my head. Now I'm just gonna need an explanation for that one.
Yeah, because I mean, it was, for me, it was more to do with, when if I've got all these things written down and all I'm doing is relying on that, but then I wasn't necessarily taking the action that I was putting on that list, then I would start to wake up and think, oh, well, I didn't do that. So I was causing myself to not trust myself, that what I was putting down on a piece of paper, that on one level I was telling myself this is what I need to do, and then I wasn't doing it, was then actually counteracting the idea that I could trust myself. So if you're going to write a list, at least put down what you know is manageable for in the day, so that you are saying to yourself, this is what I need to do for today, and that's what I'm focusing on. Then, and when you get it complete, then you are giving yourself that you can trust yourself, that what you've said you're going to do, you're going to do. But when you make it too long, and it's a list that is more of a shame list, like, well, you need to still do this, and this, and then you're just piling stuff on a piece of paper as to not forget, it can actually have a counteractive result, in my personal experience.
Write small goals. I'm with you on that one. I write 4 or 5 things that I need to do, and I don't write them down. I put the alarm. I know in this house the people are annoyed. When I'm out, it's fine, but when I'm in the house, when the alarm goes off and like looking, my daughter will be like, "Mommy, it's time to do this," and the alarm goes back on again. She goes, "Have you done it?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's done." And then the next task. So I don't really write a big list. I'm with you, Rachel, on that one, because when you write a big list and have these big expectations on yourself, and when those expectations are not met, then you get disappointed. So for me, I write a small list. And once I write that small list, I know that I have to finish things that are important. And once the things that are important are finished, then I can go and check my emails. Then I can make phone calls and start chasing people that I need to chase. And but I have to make sure that the power of writing goals and finish them. Before, I used to leave things, projects, not finish. It doesn't matter. I didn't mind. I didn't see it as a problem. That was 10 years ago. But I've met, when I started working with Paul McKenna, and Paul McKenna, the first thing that we started doing is we need to stop jealous, and we needed to stop lying. Because when you do things and you're like, let's say you go to work, and you get up late, and then you work calls and you are late, and you start making things up and say, I'm stuck in traffic. That is a lie. So it was like, there are small things that we need to get rid of, small things that makes a big difference, that we don't think they affect our lives, but they do. So you need to trust yourself. And so I had to work on the jealousy thing, where I have to learn to not to look at someone else's life and think that their life is better than me. Not because I felt that way, but that was part of the program. So I had to work on the jealousy, and then you work on the trusting and stop telling lies. And if I'm late, I'm late. And there is nothing I can do about it. So I have to tell it as it is. Or if I'm doing something, or if I want to do something, or client, if I have not find a match for that client, I cannot make things up or send some random somebody. People do it. If they can't find a match for somebody, they will send some random relatives to go and date with them. And you'll be surprised what people do in this world. So those were the things that I had to work on, just trusting myself. And it was hard. It wasn't easy. I'm not saying anybody else can find it easy. Some people might find it really nice and simple, but it's not. Being honest within yourself is not something that is not an easy task. So I had to work on it. And also, Rachel, you said you became your own coach, and just getting rid of that beast that was in you. And also, you mentioned that people prefer to go and ask advice from somebody else instead of asking themselves first. Because for me, what I believe that there's always answers if we actually live in the present moment and ask ourselves and focus on what we want to do. Always we'll find answers of whatever we are looking for. And instead of going straight just to ask someone and say, can you please help me with this? Ask yourself first, I agree with that, and be kind to yourself. And then seek advice when you actually can't do it, whatever you are seeking. So be kind to yourself and never take yourself for granted as well. Because we seem to think that our inner being, our inner voices, that inner child is not important, but we are actually unique and we are important. Never take you for granted. And when you see somebody, people are married and they have in a relationship, and you are not in a relationship, you start like saying, I'm not enough for these people, they are beautiful than me, that's why they're in a relationship. But guess what? Some people are in a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship. Some people, they've been unhappy for 40 or 30 or 20 years, but they're still in that relationship. So that's why it's important to never compare your life with nobody. And when you see someone, they're looking good, they're posting their pictures on Facebook, never compare yourself with them, because you don't know the journey, how they began taking that pictures. If you see me taking the pictures on putting pictures on Facebook, it's a story. It's a story that began with pain and ended with glory. So that's all I can say. Life is a beautiful journey. And that beautiful journey is we go through challenges. We walk through that path. And that path is so tough. And then you're like, oh my God, I cannot walk this. And that inner child, it keeps saying, you can do this, Nomsa, keep going. And I keep doing it. And here's me, I'm finding that success. And here's you coming. Within a second, you see Nomsa, she's smiling, and you're judging the person that has been there for the rest of your life. Can you imagine? So that is important, what Rachel is saying, to actually develop that self-trust and to say, you know what, Nomsa, I trust you. I trust you to make the decisions that whatever the choices or decisions you think that are bigger than you, I trust you that you're going to make those decisions and be the person that you are meant to be, not wanting people to affirm. What Rachel is saying is, don't let people affirm who you could be or what you can do. Communicate with yourself. The answers will always be there. And then if the answers are not there, then you can go find that champion, and everyone has a champion that they trust. And then once you find that champion and ask their advice, and they might be able to help you. For me, if I'm looking for something, if I come to Rachel and say, Rachel, help me on this one, it means I have had a relationship with, I have had a chat with God first. And when we were doing the summit, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I was like, Rachel, can you help? And she was like, yes, I can help. And then I kept praying and I kept praying. And she goes, no, sir, actually, I can't do this. We have both tried. And then after she says, I can't do this, and I get people to do it. And here is me realizing, actually, she's already done the work. And then I was like, do you realize you've already done the work? The work is finished. And then I get somebody to actually, and this person wanted to actually take me from the beginning and charge me from the beginning. I was like, listen, she's already done the work. Just charge me the money for the finishing job, because of what she was explaining. This is what I'm going to do. And then when she did the work, and then I look at Rachel's work, and I was like, you already done the work. So I think she trusted herself, and she did all the work. And in that moment, I actually learned something, which is you and Carol Ann made me build the logo. Do you know how long it took me to to get that logo done? It took me like 4 hours. I was sitting there when I was about to give up, and then everything came together, and I was like, oh, is this what it means in not giving up? And I was like, I am not putting myself in this situation again. So, but I trusted myself, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna ask Rachel. If she says yes to it, then that means I had actually, because sometimes even though you trust yourself, you still have to get second opinion, because I knew that the logo was never about me. Somebody else is going to have to look at it on the website. And if it's ugly, that wouldn't be fair for people. So I was like, do you like it? And she was like, she came back and she was like, I like it. And then I started sharing with everyone, and everyone was like, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's good to trust yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It is. I mean, the problem when we seek advice outside of ourselves is that it will push away what we already know to be true.
Yeah.
And another thing about seeking answers is that very much can cloud our mind, and it can make us like become even more confused than when we actually started, because sometimes it can be that something's happened and instinctively you know what is true and you know what you want to do, but then you doubt, and then you start to overthink things, and then you go to and ask other people, and then they have a different opinion, and so you're getting more and more confused because you're searching for answers. And recently I would say it's better to not search for the answers. It's just listen instead to yourself and pay attention to how you feel about the situation that you are dealing with, and then just let yourself feel it without actually rationalizing your feelings. Try not to allow the mind to come in and tell you why you're feeling what you're feeling, because the mind will like to kind of put a different slant on it. It's coming from a different perspective, and so by doing that, what you will prevent is this, which can put you in a moment where you're just paralyzed all the time, because you're going backwards and forwards in your thinking, trying to make a decision, and it just has you sitting on the fence and not making a decision either way. So when we can tune into our feelings, then we are not resisting them. We can it's a new way to be able to have a communication with yourself. It is very different, because it's not this loud voice that's like it's got a microphone and it's taking all all the space up in your head. It's a different answer, a different way to communicate. And the more you practice it, the easier it will become. But when we resist our feelings and we listen always to our head, and we don't really take time for ourselves to really not think, but feel what it is that we're feeling, then all we do is create this conflict within ourselves. And then that's why we actually choose to go to other people. because we think that they're going to come in and be able to solve this inner conflict that's going on within ourselves, that they have no idea. We're just proposing a question and they're just giving their answer to it. And quite often there is a bigger story behind a decision that we need to make that we don't always share with people. So they're only getting a part of your story. And so you're just adding complexity and complexity. So certainly in the last couple of months, I've been really practicing just sitting, feeling, and allowing the answers to come to me rather than me going out and seeking the answers. It's a much more stress-free life.
And keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Meditate as well. You know, when you meditate, I meditate in prayer, and it does help me to actually find the answers that I need, because, you know, whatever we do in life, we need to trust that the decisions that we make, they will take us to where we need to go. And I actually speak to my date of birth, because what I've realized is everything that we have in life, it has a voice. My date of birth, it has a voice. My clothes has a voice. The clothes that I wear, they have a voice. And the business that I have, it has a voice. So I speak to the business, I speak to my legs, take me to places where I'm going to find breakthrough. Do not take me to the places where I'm going to find trouble. So I speak to myself, I communicate with myself, I speak to my inner being and say, please help me. There were times when I was like, I think it was a few weeks ago, and I was like, I keep meditating. Of course, I believe in God. I believe in this. I believe in God and I believe in him 100%. I was like, I've never really trusted this man fully. And I was really having problems and I'm stuck. And I was like, angels of God, it is time for you to go to heaven. And the pastors, go and get me some angels to come and help me. I have these problems and I don't know how to deal with them. I'm actually stuck. I don't know how to deal with them. And by the end of the day, I knew what I needed to do. Mm-hmm. And there were people that were coming in my way. I could see people coming, causing distraction. And in that moment, because I had seeking help, but the different help than I normally do, and I was looking at them, I was like, you're not standing in my way. And no matter how negative they say, I just listen, not talking back and saying, okay, I hear you. But then I'm moving forward and I was like, I'm just going to do this and I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this. And then by the end of that project, I realized actually something has been guiding me. And I was like, if I listen to that thing, I've listened to that person, I will not be here where I am now. And I was like, oh my God, sometimes we don't actually trust. We say we believe in the universe, we believe in whatever we believe in, but we actually do not trust what we believe in. Because I was like, I'm tired of this. And this is a problem that I cannot solve. And I was like, I'm looking at the Bible and I'm like, actually, I don't have to actually stress. And I was like, on air, I just stood in my house and I was like, angels of God, go and hunt me other angels to come and help me, because I have no clue what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And I could see the problems were piling in. And through those problems piling in, there are some distractions. There are some people who are causing distractions. Actually, like Rachel, you were saying, you need to know who you are and not seeking advice from other people. And I could see these people, they're actually trying to stop me. I'm trying to move forward with this project and trying to solve it. And they're like stopping me. And I was like, go and get me some help. Now I'm going to ask help from the source where I've never done. I've never asked God and say, go to heaven and get me some help. So I was like, I'm going to do it different today. You go and get me angels in heaven and on earth. anyone that you know that can solve this problem, bring them to me. And I was laughing actually, and people like trying to stop me. I was like, I don't think so. So
But it's an important point that you make about not being, about also for building self-trust is not to be afraid that you're going to fall, like
yeah,
that you're going to fail. And like, so you're highlighting a good point here.
yeah. So I knew that this was a problem, it existed, and somebody was like, Nomsa, you've gone mad. And I was like, no, I've not gone mad. So I need to solve these problems. So I just actually solved the problems. And by the end of it, it took me a few days actually. And by the end of it, when I was going through solving that project, and I could see the distraction. You know, when you live in the present moment, you could see that there are some distractions, that there are some people that are there, they being brought, because when you say you believe in God or you believe in the universe, whatever you believe, the universe will actually test you, or God will actually test you and he will show you the way. And actually there's somebody who come the other side on the left trying to stop you where you needed to be. And I was like, I ain't gonna listen to this person. Let me just keep going. And I ain't gonna listen to this person. And let me just keep going. I just kept going until I was like, oh my God. If I would have listened to these people, I would not be done what the things that I'm supposed to be doing. And that is developing trust. Sometimes you have to trust, even when life doesn't make sense. You have to trust. When everything you do, it does not make sense, you just have to believe that I will get to the other side and I'll find that breakthrough. And that has helped me. I do things sometimes when nothing makes sense in front of me, and I just go ahead and just focus and just do it. And even my ex, one day he said to me, Nomsa, you are actually annoying, but you get things done. And he said, I didn't know you when I was with you, but now I've got time, because sometimes I would just call him and say, we need to do this for our daughter. And he would tell me the reason, 20 reasons why we can't do it. And will tell me another reason why it's important for me to ignore this thing that I'm trying to do. And it will tell me the other reason why I'm living in dreams. Why and there's no way that I'm going to do this. And I'll be like, okay, all these reasons that you've put in front of me, I do understand, but this is the reason why I am contacting you, because you are important to my daughter. She is your daughter, and you're gonna do this with me. Even if there is a meeting that we have to go and attend, I will not do it on my own. Now he knows, but before he couldn't understand how is this important for him to be there, because it means he gets to experience the whole story of life of his child. So I was like, yes, I could easily go to the meeting on my own and get things done, but it is important for you to be there as well and experience it and have a voice. So he was like, you are actually annoying. And I was like, if you put it that way, it's fine. But coming to the topic, the reason I'm sharing this is when Rachel, you said the conflict, our inner conflict, sometimes we create it to avoid all these things. For me, when I'm doing something, like I have to trust myself, even if inside of me there's fear, I just have to trust. I have to have faith. I'm not somebody that just prays and hope things that will happen on its own. I have to trust, and I have to have faith, and I have to take action. If I do face the problems, it's fine. If I don't get the results that I want, it's fine. But as long as I know that I'm taking action and I don't cause conflict within myself, and also is important to actually, when you make a decision, I've learned this the hard way, and I've had the other pastor as well preaching about it. When you are making a decision, or actually you just said it as well, that trust yourself. And he was saying, um, when he got a scholarship to come to the UK in 1990, he didn't tell his parents, he didn't tell his family. He got a scholarship with a ticket. So he bought the ticket and came to the UK. When he arrived, and he said to his mom and dad, I actually arrived in the UK. And he said, if I had told my family, my life would have been different. So I knew that moment when God spoke to me that I needed to keep it a secret and I need to go. And for me, that's the same thing that I did. But the difference is I didn't tell my family, but I told my mom and dad and my step parents. And they didn't say anything. Even my work, when I bought the ticket, I arrived in the UK and I've called them. I was like, I'm not coming back because I was on annual leave, 1 month annual leave. So I was like, I'm not coming back. And so you have to trust yourself.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest or the main reasons why we don't trust ourselves is because we haven't been able to forgive ourselves for, past mistakes that we've had, for the pain that we may have caused another or to ourselves, and as well as like regrets that we might have. And so when we're able to forgive ourselves, we stop comparing our past evidence as a reason for why something it's not going to work in the future. Building trust happens in the now. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. It's about now and what you choose to do now. And so, but it does make it easier the more you've been able to forgive yourself. And that forgiveness and self-acceptance journey it plays a huge part into being able to forgive yourself, which, at the end of the day, building trust, like I said, is happening in the now, but it's coming from many different elements of the work that you're doing on yourself. It's kind of like, the self-love, the self-acceptance, having compassion, forgiving yourself, doing shadow work, integration, etc. All of that in its entirety is building self-trust. It's like that firm foundation that you are connected to you have a relationship with you want only the best for you, and you will do whatever it takes to show up for yourself. And you can show up for yourself and things go terribly wrong, but you showed up.
Yeah.
That's what trust is built on. It's not about what the outcomes are.
Always show up for yourself. Always, never let yourself down or talk yourself out of whatever you want to do. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of the things that we are meant to become. We are like, I'm not good enough. I don't think anyone is going to like me. Or we blame people who were not there for us. And instead of actually living in the present moment. So trusting it means that I trust myself, even if when somebody else is letting me down, I still trust that I will get to where I need to be. And even if the problem is like what Rachel is saying, showing up for yourself is not about getting the results that we want, because we don't have control when it comes to life. But the most exciting thing is when you know that actually I've tried and I've learned from that trying, and now I have the skills to actually pick myself up and get to where I need to go.
Yep.
Anyone who is watching Rachel right now, if they don't know who you are, could you please tell our audience who you are and where they can find you, please?
Yeah, so I'm Rachel G. You can find me at www.rachel/g.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Rachel G Healing. And I help my clients during times of transition to let go of an outdated version of themselves and to encourage the unfoldment of their true self. And I do that by helping to create a space where they are able to investigate and go deeper within themselves and connect to parts of themselves that maybe they've ignored or don't even realize exist on some level, and really help them to become stronger and more strongly rooted in the love for themselves, because that's where it all starts. And when you love yourself, trust yourself, you are able to see yourself through any storm that might pass you by. And we live in a climate at the moment where there's many storms. So, and I don't mean literally from the weather, just life in general. So, the more we can work on ourselves, the sooner, the better we're going to be for ourselves in the future. So, that's really kind of like what I do, and it's all based on my own self healing and acceptance journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rachel. And thank you so much for those who are watching. And for me, I leave you with this. Anyone who wants to know who Nomsa is, I'm a love harmonist. All I harmonize, when you say, you know what, I'm not good enough, I harmonize you're enough. I'm not good enough to find love. I'm not good enough to be this. I'm not good enough to get married. I'm not good enough. So I come in and I just harmonize love, breaking the chains of shame, guilty, and all the chains that we inflicted in our lives. So I break those chains bit by bit until you actually, and I'll be holding your hands as well. You don't just come in and you pay your money and you say, you know what, I'm looking for love. And I say, you know what, I think I have an idea of a woman that will be a good fit for you, or a man that will be a good fit for you. First, we have to check you out. Are you actually who you say you are? Look, when you say you're looking for love, because it's easy to write a shopping list and say, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for this. But if you're not that, then your love life is not going to work. So we break the chains first. With all these coaches that go to talk shows, you see them, they have a very, very important task that they do. So that's what we do as well at Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency. Break the chains first, and then we connect you with whoever you want, you are looking for. But we don't do the work for you. We just do the introduction, and you do the selection. The selection, it means I'm taking you on a date, my queen, and I'm going to choose you, and I'm going to choose to spend the rest of my life with you. So you have a voice. That's what we do. Me, I go out with all my clients. I go for mini dates, men. I go for mini dates with women, and I get to know my clients, and I just introduce you, and you get to choose to say, no, sir, this one, she's the one. He is the one. She's the one. That's all I do. And that's your job, to choose who is the one, who is not. So if you are looking to find your own voice and lead from within, Ngozi Talk Shows is a place where you find all the coaches that can help you. And if you're looking for love, Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency, we are all in one. And if you're looking to work with Rachel as well, if you can't get a hold of Rachel, you can get in touch with me. I'll connect you with Rachel straight away. And if you are somebody who wants to find their own voice as well, and you're struggling with everything, finding your own voice, it means being a leader in your own life. Self-love includes everything. So these guys are here, and they can help you to get to where you need to be. We are here Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And live with grace, everyone, and God bless. Develop your self-trust.